If you are a shy, sensitive empath and you have struggled with speaking up for yourself your entire life, and you have had this people pleaser syndrome where you don't speak up for yourself and you don't assert yourself, and people are able to bully you passive aggressively or under the guise of nice, or you simply feel that you can never assert yourself and assert your voice and assert who you are in the world. I'm going to be talking about ways that you can reclaim your power, rediscover yourself, and tactics that you can use, strategies to reclaim your power and find out exactly who you are, discern your energy from other people's energies, because you literally have superpowers and you can feel their energies in your body, and you're an emotional sponge who's been carrying it your whole life, carrying other people's energies your whole life, and oftentimes you don't know what's yours and what's theirs. So when you're talking about how you can take your power back, establish boundaries, reclaim the truth of who you are, and sort of exist in this paradigm that is a little bit foreign to this world, which is inner truth, inner power, inner self-sustaining galaxy of love, not transactional, not letting people take from you, not letting energy vampires in, not letting manipulative people take advantage of you under the guise of, because you're always opening yourself, you're always opening your heart, you're always being super open, and you've been wounded, you've been sapped, you've been siphoned, you've been bruised and scarred throughout your life, whether it's people that are close to you or friends, family, whoever. So what I'm going to say is basically the dynamic that I've found in my life is that when you're a highly sensitive empath, you go around your entire life and you think that it is your job to heal people, and it is your job to, because you feel in some cases so paralyzed, overwhelmed, and you can feel other people's emotions as if it's like an avalanche in your own body and your own heart. You go around thinking that you have to match people's vibrations. You think that to literally mimic like a chameleon would do, like a shapeshifter, like, because you feel when people are mad, you feel when people are angry, you feel when people are sad, even subconsciously, even when they're good at acting or they're good at having this politeness mask or whatever. What you're amazing at doing is just feeling through all of it, right down to the core of it. So that's why there is this weird disconnect when, as a highly sensitive empath, from your point of view, you might think, oh, a lot of these people are really depressed and sad, and I kind of feel it, and it makes me withdraw, it makes me uncomfortable, it makes me anxious, it makes me awkward, because it's quite common in American culture to repress your emotions. We have this productivity, extrovert, happy, smiley culture in which everything is repressed at the expense of that. So it's this weird backward world that you live in as a highly sensitive, telepathic, psychic, intuitive empath who feels the world deeply, where everyone's looking at you like you're the awkward one, or you're the one who doesn't know how to talk, or you don't know how to do this little like social square dance that we all do, which is always being upbeat, always kind of expressing the same spectrum of emotions, because that's what we value in the society. That's what the television has told us is valuable, and all these pop culture icons and everything. The great American male, the great American man. You know, I think of that career man in the 50s, you know, commuter and top hat and all that. So what I was saying is this backward world that you have to recover from, that you have been taught to think that you are deficient, but you're not. It's just that you feel everything, and you feel that a lot of people are not who they say they are, to be completely honest. And then you feel them and you know things intuitively as soon as you meet them, but it gets exhausting for someone who's highly sensitive to play that when they know what's up in your heart. And it can feel like a charade. And then you withdraw. And then you feel that there's so many people in the world that are doing that you get so down on yourself and you feel like, what's even the point? Everyone's hiding from themselves, and it's highly supported to hide from yourself. To not have people that you can talk about your sadness or this or that, or feeling worn down by things because it's so villainized. It's like, oh, take a pill and be done with it forever. And just, be happy and smile at this sports show and this and that. And so this is a process of beginning to distinguish what is yours and what is theirs. It's taken me my entire life. Still struggling. Still trying to figure that out. Because you are such an emotional sponge as a highly sensitive person that you take it in and you don't even think. You don't even know, and you've actually thought that you are actually dysfunctional and you are actually depressed and you are actually all these things, that you are somehow have faulty wiring, have a faulty engine, have a faulty soul, whatever. And it's not true. It's just that you, and I would say that for me, my entire life, I never really knew what Peter was. I could never hold it in my mind and say, okay, here's a picture of Peter and I have an idea what he is, what he means. And I was never able to actualize and conceptualize the way other people perceived me as a personality like Peter, because I always felt like a ghost. I literally felt like a ghost. Or a fifth grader's collage that he puts together last minute at midnight with his mom the night before the project is due. And it's, those collages where you take the magazine letters and the different parts of people's faces and you put them all together. That's literally what I felt like as a soul. Just an amalgamation of all these different people's energies and all these different people's pains that I don't even know what is, but I just can't understand it because I don't even know what I am, because I just feel all of them. And I don't have space to myself to process because I'm highly, highly sensitive. So the biggest thing for this is to learn that you do not have to match people's vibration, because that's what we think we need to do. So learning that can be very counterintuitive because you feel like it's your job to heal everyone, and you unconsciously merge auras, or you unconsciously think that you need to feel their feelings for them or go down to their vibration, when really you're best serving them by staying in a high vibration. And a lot of people, if you've been one certain way your whole life and then all of a sudden you're stepping into your power and you're isolating yourself and you're healing yourself, those family members or those friends will be very confused and bewildered, and they will feel like you're betraying them, because really what you were all this time was a refuge, or like a fountain of healing, or the shoulder to cry on, or the soothing presence, but essentially you were just playing this character that's almost like malleable clay. Because you're a chameleon. I've always felt like a chameleon in a sense, that you are just matching their vibration and they feel very good and they feel very comfortable around you because you are so expert. You don't even know it. Your soul just signed up to do that. That you are so expert at mimicking matching vibrations. You do it unconsciously, because you want to soothe them and you want to stop feeling those emotions of tenseness, of anger, or whatever you feel that's bubbling beneath the surface of their heart, in their heart. But the problem is you internalize it and you actually start to think that's your personality, and you just become essentially, it's like being a prostitute, because you think you need to be nice to everyone and you need to give everything away that you are, because you don't even know what you are. Because you're so enmeshed. It's enmeshment trauma is what it is. And you can't break free of all these ties and all these cords and all these energetic demands that people are making on you telepathically. Yes, maybe not at the conscious level, but at the soul level, at the aura level, at the energy level. You've said yes to this contract and said yes to say, oh, okay, whoever comes into my field, just take freely, take all my energy. Here, take it. It's like a little fountain that you can drink from to heal yourself. Because that's my only value on earth, is giving away everything. Because then you'll like me, right? Then you'll like me. Then you'll feel better, and then I can feel better in my body because I'm unconsciously absorbing all of your emotions. And I just want it to stop. I just want to feel better. So just I don't understand. It's like this prison, or you're like people are just taking all of your power and all of your soul light, and they're feeding off it, and they don't know it, but they are. Because in empath, highly sensitive soul, it's like it's honey. It's like very sweet honey. And you don't know your power. You're not fully aware of your power because you've never had time enough alone to fully go into it. and to know how almost alien you can seem to this world because you came here on a mission and you came here to anchor down into this paradigm of self-love, self-healing, becoming your own self-sustaining galaxy of love, and healing the source field, healing everything, because really that's the most precious service you can do, is to first heal yourself before you can be of any use to anyone, which is not taught to us in this world. We're taught to just grab things in the external projector screen, do all this transaction and smile and do all the perfect gifts and transactions and deeds and words, but it all means nothing if you have nothing to offer from your actual heart space. That's what empaths need to learn. So saying no for the first time can be greatly liberating, because the first couple times you start saying no as an empath, you feel almost this barrage and avalanche of guilt in your body, which I think sometimes is like an unofficial way to break that, like I said, that contract, an energetic, subconscious, telepathic contract, not words and all that, because as empaths and highly sensitives, energy is our first and only language anyway. Words are a nice decoration. But them too, they may not be aware that they're telepathic and all that, but they feel it's the same thing. They're just unconscious agreements. So, like, think of it like an operating system or like code that's written into your field. So now when you say no to someone, okay, Pete, can you come to this communion? Can you come to this drinks? Or can you come to this party? And, you know, I'd love for you to be there to support me or whatever it is. First time you say no, and maybe you say no without an explanation. You just say, no, I'm not up for it. I'm not feeling good. I need to tend to myself because that's what my boundaries and my heart requires, and that's who I am. You're not coming up with some excuse or lying about why you don't need to go. And that's when you firmly state that, I need to put myself first. And sometimes it becomes very clear, and what I feel is this, you're almost, because you're telepathic, you're feeling their emotions, even if you're just talking over the phone, you have superpowers. You feel their guilt, or they're almost like, I can't believe he would say no to me. I can't believe he would deny deny my access to his energy. Like, how dare he? I've always had uninhibited access to his energy. And they're feeling it subconsciously, so that first time can feel almost like this, so much guilt and so much of that, like for 30 minutes to an hour to 2 hours, where you just feel their anger of like, no, I want access to him, and he's not, you know. Of course, they may never acknowledge this to you, and they may even say, oh, that's so self-centered of you to act like I need your energy or whatever. They don't know it consciously, but they know how you feel, and they never can. When someone interacts with a highly sensitive empath, they know exactly who you are and how sensitive you are, and they may never admit it, and that gets into the whole dynamic of manipulation and playing with you and bullying you and passive aggression, and that's a whole nother animal. But you are cutting that contract. But I would say there's a great liberation, because as a highly sensitive empath, you often don't even know. It's like you broke this massive barrier when you can say no, and say it no enough, even when you feel all that guilty, you feel all them, they're almost essentially withdrawals that you're feeling telepathically, because you have the ability to tune into them through a text message, through a phone call, whatever. We're all one. But once you break through that and you start saying no more and more and more, it's almost like this feeling that can be orgasmic, that you've never tasted before as an empath, because you've been so enslaved, chained up by the neck to thinking that you need to heal everyone, soothe everyone. You're a worthless piece of crap if you don't say yes to everyone. It's this insane amount of liberation. Like, wow, I'm allowed to have this person be slightly mad at me, but really it's just that I put myself first for like the first time in my life ever. And once you get through that guilt or that programming about, say you come from a very conservative family, everyone needs to show up for everything, you need to do everything for everyone or get these gifts or anything, you say no, and you feel this insane amount of liberation. And then it almost becomes addicting, and you're like, whoa, like I'm allowed to say no? Like what else can I say? What else have I not known that I can say no about? And you start to realize like, wow, I can put myself first, and like it exists. It's possible to actually love myself before anything and fill my own cup first. So I would say what happens is when you start doing this, people that are emotionally manipulative, people that are bullies, people that are siphoning your energy in some way, where they want you to play this character, like I said, you're like a malleable clay or something, because you've always been that social chameleon who's always just been a yes man, or matching their vibration, or agreeing with everything they do, or the version of you that plays small, that is afraid of everything and needs to be agreeable at all costs, which is what I was for most of my life. When you stop being that, there are people that will fall out of your life like that immediately, because their ego and their belief systems and their thing that they call reality and all that is such that they never cared about you the way that you thought they did. And that is an absolutely crushing in your heart realization. And that happened to me with a lot of people. And it took me a really, really long time to forgive that. And it took me a really, really long time to see the clarity of, okay, yes, it needs to happen this way because I'm stepping into a new timeline. I'm stepping into new energy, new souls, all these things. And I need to understand that these people weren't meant to stay in my life, but it can be crushing when you actually felt like there were people that were super, super close to you that really, now as the highly sensitive one who was hiding in a corner your whole life, whatever, you were awkward, you were the one who, whatever, now you're stepping into power, and now these people run for the hills and they don't want to be anywhere near it. And you're like, and that's such a common empath thing where you're like, oh, I was playing the fool the whole time. I was playing the sucker. I was playing like the naive one who just got pushed around, the innocent one who people were taking advantage of. And I get it now, and I understand that I can't stay resentful and I can't stay mad, and it's taken me years to release this. I can't pretend like I just forgave it magically and it was gone. So in the solitude, the next step with this is basically solitude, where you learn that there is an entirely new rediscovery process of yourself. It's as if you're meeting the 5-year-old you. 29 years old, and I feel maybe this started 2-3 years ago. And I got sober from alcohol about 5 years ago. I did a lot of healing work, meditation, yoga, ayahuasca retreats, and all these things. And it's literally like meeting yourself for the first time. You're meeting the you that you never were able to be, and you never even knew that there was a real you. And it's crazy because you're like a recovering victim, or recovering like from Stockholm syndrome, from all that enmeshment trauma of like, you had this blind allegiance to all these people that didn't, maybe they subconsciously knew your power. They knew that that sensitivity was power, lots of power, and they used it for their own benefit. They pushed you around, they bullied you, they liked you when you were down, but when you're up, maybe they don't really want you around anymore. Because now all that hard energy and that power that was using to soothe them and heal them and make them feel understood, because that's your superpower, empaths, highly sensitive souls. You literally have superpowers. Holding space for them, being a good listener, being the shoulder to cry on. Now that you're using that hard energy to stand in your power unapologetically and say, I'm going to shine this like a bright star into the world, those people fall away. And that's something that you have to accept, and it's very difficult. Especially because a lot of these empaths, starseeds, whoever, incarnate or choose to be in these family structures that are highly traumatized or have a lot of toxicity, because they kind of learn, they want the extreme end. Like the indigos want the extreme end of feeling all of this. So then you can then turn around, and by the time of maturity in your life, you're starting to have rock solid boundaries, like warrior ironclad boundaries, and you know the depth of the shadows, you know all the dark side, you know how people manipulate, and you know how to have those rock solid boundaries in your aura and your field, and you've healed it, you've forgived it. So this rediscovery of self and solitude is realizing that a lot of times you do have to say no, and you have to set boundaries unapologetically, and realize that a lot of times not all the time, your greatest contribution can be being in your power, being alone, and knowing that there are people that you need to let go of and you need to establish boundaries with. And that because that's how you open the door for new souls and new timelines and new unifications to happen. Because it's almost like an antenna, a static signal when you're staying around those souls who are not aligned to you. And you'll feel it. You'll feel a resistance where it becomes painful and you can't do anything but move or, cut ties with them or just generally stop associating with them. But I mean, that's the hardest thing about the empath thing, is that there are people that you need to love from afar, that you love better from afar, and that you need to take time away from, because they might be so set in those unconscious scripts, or treating you as this character, treating you as this malleable clay, and not wanting to change, not wanting to see you in the new light, not wanting to see you, and being very firm and stubborn about not wanting to see your growth, not wanting to see the way you've changed, not wanting to see the way they need to adjust their behavior to respect and honor you. And you need to set those boundaries unapologetically and not budge to people that are trying to worm their way in or manipulate you, or not honor the truth of who you are, to be honest. And oftentimes it can be family, it can be friends, the people you call the closest that have known the old you that was the one that just let people walk all over you. These people will have the hardest time seeing the new you sometimes, because of ego, because of this paradigm in the matrix of like, everyone's worried about who's going to get to the top first because we have to step on each other's heads and go get that little pot of gold at the American advertising rainbow of, our culture. So it's this beautiful reunification with yourself and knowing that you are precious, absolutely precious, and you're reclaiming your power, and you're learning that the true vibration of being in your power, loving yourself, is kind of rare in this society. And I think self-love is somewhat alien. And that's why we look at these figureheads or these models or these pop culture icons, actors, singers, whoever, sports stars, and we idolize them like they're gods, because we have such a hard time looking at ourselves and loving ourselves. And that's why it often gets mistaken with arrogance or self-centeredness, or because what happens a lot of time is this projection game in our society where people look at people that are in their power and successful and know how to shine their star bright, and they say, he's self-centered, he's arrogant, like, who cares? Like, or people just look at the famous people like they're aliens, or they have some special, amazing quality that other people will never have, like a deity or something. When it's not true, it's just that we have a phobia in this culture of looking into ourselves, healing ourselves, learning to love ourselves, learning to be in our power. We subconsciously and collectively fear personal power. We fear how powerful we are, and we've been trained by the society to give our power away to the TV, to the government, to everything. So when the empath reclaims their power, it can be very, very threatening to many people, or at least the people that knew the old you. But that's the thing that is hard about going through this metamorphosis, is you have to know that your highest service to this planet is reclaiming the truth of who you are. Being in that solitude, learning to love you first and foremost, or to love you yourself in the way that maybe your family, your friends, or society was never able to love you. Because you are extraordinary, highly sensitive soul. You are most definitely extraordinary. And you are here for a reason, to anchor down a new energetic signature. And you learned, by all those people that bullied you, pushed you down, whatever, you learned how to love yourself. They were playing roles for you, really, because now what I've learned, and what many sensitive souls learn, is that they were teaching you to put yourself first and foremost above everything. Learn how to love yourself, and in that way you can be the beacon for others, and you can lead others and be an example for others. that you've healed yourself and you've healed all these things, and you can be in your power and reclaim the truth of who you are, be assertive, and not play into those guilt programs, those guilt manipulation programs of, oh, you need to heal me, or you need to be here for me, or you need to do that. Like, no, my highest service to earth is putting myself first, respecting my boundaries, respecting the fact that I am extremely, extremely sensitive. And honestly, certain people, if they don't respect my boundaries, then that's that. I mean, my highest service to earth is maintaining high vibration, maintaining joy, maintaining love. And that's the hardest thing for an empath, is to realize that you, by holding yourself in that high vibration and being unapologetic about it, not pandering and saying, oh, I feel bad and I need to soothe your feelings and choose these feelings. And like, a lot of people are just either jealous or they just they have some other agenda, and they just mask it as that thing of like, they'll project it onto you, that narcissism, and then try and make you feel guilty. But for empaths, just stand in your power and don't give in to that, and rediscover who you are for the first time. It's a difficult and scary process, because it's almost like you're building up from nothing, literally nothing, because you've never had a sense of self. You've been tossed around, used and abused and bullied, and let these people in, and they manipulate you because we live in a sociopathic society. But you're changing that because you're a warrior and you're here for the highest good of all.